There's something about the night that makes ordinary things feel off. A late ride home, static from a radio, a reflection in a window. None of these things should be terrifying, but for the people in tonight's stories, they became unforgettable nightmares. These are 3 true horror stories that'll keep you up tonight. I was 22 when this happened. I was coming home from a friend's birthday party around 1:30 a.m. I wasn't drunk, just tired, and it was cold out. One of those nights where the streets are empty and even the wind feels mean. I called an Uber like I always do. A silver Toyota Corolla pulled up, and the driver, a middle-aged guy with a beanie and glasses, smiled and confirmed my name. Everything seemed normal at first. We made small talk, then he got quiet. Totally fine. I didn't feel like talking either. But after about 10 minutes, I realized he wasn't following the GPS. The map showed we were supposed to turn left toward the highway. Instead, he drove straight into a darker, more rural area. I leaned forward. "Hey man, I think you missed the turn." He didn't answer. Didn't even look at me. Just kept driving. My stomach dropped. I checked my phone, but the Uber app wasn't tracking the ride anymore. It had frozen on the first few minutes of the trip. I tried calling my friend, but there was no signal. That's when I noticed something on his dashboard, a photo. At first, I thought it was his family, but as I looked closer, my blood ran cold. It was a picture of me, outside my friend's house, taken earlier that night. I said, "Pull over." Now. Still no response. I started panicking. I looked for the door handle, but the child lock was on. I was about to unbuckle and jump out when I noticed headlights in the rearview mirror. Another car behind us. I started waving my arms, yelling. The other car honked, and that must have startled the driver. He suddenly turned hard right onto a side road, and I used that second to unlock the window and dive out. I hit the ground, rolled, and started sprinting toward the headlights. The other car slowed down. An older couple inside asked if I was okay. When I turned around, the silver Corolla was gone. I called the police immediately, but when they searched the area, there was no record of that car ever being requested on Uber. The picture he had on the dashboard, they never found it. Sometimes, I still wonder how long he'd been watching me before that night. This happened to my mom's family in the late 1990s. We lived in a small town in Oregon, surrounded by trees and fog most of the year. One summer night, a thunderstorm knocked out the power. The house went pitch black. No lights, no phone, nothing. My dad went into the garage and brought out this old battery-powered radio. He said it'd help us pass the time. We all sat in the living room while he tried to tune it. All we got was static. After a while, we got used to it. My little sister fell asleep on the couch. My mom lit a few candles. Then, through the static, we heard something. At first, it sounded like a voice. A faint whisper under the noise. My dad turned the dial slightly, thinking it was a signal. But then we heard it, clear as day. It said, "Rachel." My mom froze. That was my sister's name. She looked over at the radio, her face pale. Then it said another name. David. That was my dad. One by one, it whispered all our names. Finally, it said mine. After that, the static went silent. Then, out of nowhere, the power flicked back on. Lights, TV, everything. For a second, everyone just stared at each other, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Then we heard something faint outside, like humming. My dad walked to the window and looked out. Standing in the yard was a man, tall, soaking wet, no shoes, just standing there in the rain, humming the same tone that came from the radio. My dad grabbed the phone to call 911, but the line was dead again. When he looked back, the man was gone. We never found out who he was, or how the radio knew our names. But for weeks after that, every night around 3 a.m., the radio would turn on by itself, whispering softly through the static. I used to rent a small apartment near downtown Chicago. It wasn't fancy, but it was quiet. Perfect for studying late at night. The only weird thing was the window in my bedroom. It was large and faced another building, so I usually kept the blinds closed. One night, around 2 a.m., I was finishing an assignment when I realized the blinds were half open. I didn't remember opening them. I stood up to close them, but that's when I noticed something strange. My reflection in the window wasn't moving with me. I froze. I moved my hand slowly, but the reflection stayed still, just staring back at me with a faint grin. I turned around, thinking maybe someone was behind me, but the room was empty. When I looked back, the reflection tilted its head. I felt my knees go weak. I grabbed my phone to record, but the screen glitched and shut off. I backed away slowly and turned off the lamp. In the dark, I could still see it, faintly glowing in the glass. Then it moved, but toward me. I swear to God, I heard breathing coming from the window. I ran out, slammed the bedroom door, and slept in my car that night. The next morning, I called maintenance to check the window. When they removed the panel, they found scratch marks inside the glass. I moved out that same week. Sometimes, though, when I pass by tall buildings at night, I still look at my reflection carefully, just to make sure it's still mine. The scariest part of these stories isn't the monsters or ghosts. It's how easily they could have happened to anyone. A ride home. A stormy night. Your own reflection. Maybe that's what makes them stick with you long after the video ends. If you made it this far, you might want to double-check your window before you go to sleep tonight. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one. If you're still awake.